Tonight, we're taking your questions about the coronavirus crisis straight to Indiana lawmakers on a special In Focus Coronavirus Town Hall, as we hear from Senators Mike Braun and Todd Young, and our U.S. representatives from the 2nd District, Jackie Walorski, 3rd District Rep. Jim Banks, from the 4th District, Jim Baird, 5th District Rep. Susan Brooks, from the 6th District, Greg Pence, 7th District Rep. Andre Carson, 8th District Representative Larry Bouchon, and 9th District Representative Trey Hollingsworth. And it all starts now on a special edition of In Focus. And good evening and welcome to In Focus, a coronavirus town hall. I'm Dan Spieler.
And I'm Fanchen Stinger. So glad you're with us tonight.
And I'm Beershel May. Now tonight, we are broadcasting this program live in 71 counties all across the Hoosier State, reaching nearly 5 million households.
Indiana's congressional delegation is joining us virtually to answer your questions. We are talking to 8 of your House representatives, as well as Senator Mike Braun, joining us live from Jasper tonight.
Earlier in the day, I also spoke with Senator Todd Young about the impact coronavirus has had in our communities and a look ahead at the road to recovery.
Now, before we begin, let's get you caught up on today's developments. Indiana is now reporting 17,800 confirmed coronavirus cases. Sadly, 1,700 Hoosiers have died, all because of this virus, with another 107 presumed coronavirus deaths. The state reports more than 94,000 Hoosiers have been tested, with nearly 19% of people testing positive. Now, today, we also learned at least 65,000 people applied for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program right here in Indiana. It is a topic that a lot of our viewers asked about, and we will be tackling that issue with your representatives in Congress in just minutes. Fanchen?
Well, Beershel, Vice President Mike Pence paying a visit to Indiana today. He was in Kokomo checking in on ventilator production at the GM plant there. He started out with a tour of the facility, getting a first-hand look at how the workers were able to quickly shift to making those ventilators. He told the employees today he is proud to see the work they are doing.
Being among people who put together this plant in 17 days and produced the first ventilator in 3 days, and in less than a month have produced 600 ventilators for the American people, I couldn't be more inspired.
After that tour, the vice president held a roundtable discussion with GM and Ventec, that's the medical device company helping to produce the ventilators. GM's expected to have more than 6,000 available by June.
Well, let's begin our conversation right now with Senator Mike Braun. The vice president here today, as Fanchen just mentioned, the vice president wearing a mask at times, thanking everyone at GM for producing those ventilators. He said, quote, "We will get through this." Senator, how long will it take for our country to get through this crisis?
So we've been home from D.C. since March 26th, and look at what we've seen across the country. Saw the horrific results of what happens when you are blindsided by it in New York and New Jersey. But I think that I'm especially proud of Hoosiers in many states that were watching. And I've talked to so many business owners across the state that know that you got to take this thing seriously. I had to weigh in on some issues at processing plants, put a letter out to Secretary of Agriculture Perdue about making sure that canned goods are treated in a way so we have food security. So this has affected the entire country, but when I look at what we've done here in Indiana, we've taken the disease seriously. We were one of the potential hotspots due to the Indy metro area being in the top 15, and I think we've done a great job. And what gives me confidence, and what I talked about even before leaving D.C. with a couple floor speeches, is this is going to be the most important part, because we cannot backslide on the disease, yet we've got to be entrepreneurial in trying to get this economy restarted. And I think that's done. Each governor knows the lay of the land. I think it's county by county, state by state across our country. And I'm confident that individuals, workers, business owners are prepared to stay disciplined and stick with what we know we need to do through this new normal, to where we get a vaccine, we get therapies that are now looking like they're going to be on stream soon. A vaccine maybe sooner than what we thought, but we got to stay disciplined until we get this in the rearview mirror.
Senator, next we do want to get to a question from one of our viewers. Michael from Indianapolis asks, how are you working in a bipartisan manner right now to remove politics and focus on results for Hoosiers?
Well, to be honest, in the little over a year that I've been there, I saw the most of that occur on trying to reform health care, because we know what a hot issue that was prior to coronavirus coming along, and we know how it's stressed our system currently. I had not seen in the work that we put together through the task groups, and I was a member of the small business task group in terms of giving input to it, and over the span of a weekend, we crafted, that phase 3 package. It did get interrupted by some extraneous items that were attempted to get added to it. It delayed it 3 days, but still it was an example of how it can work. And I think now that we've got that done and we plussed up the PPP part of it, added more money for testing, also for the hospital system, healthcare system, when we get back, it's to address, I think, errors and omissions and anything else where there's been disproportionate effect from it. But I'm a believer that to go forward from here, it's mostly about a smart restart of our economy, and I think we're prepared to do it, because I don't think the federal government can be a good substitute for what we've had to replace in the economy in the attempt to tamp down the disease.
Another question here from your constituents. Patricia from Indy sent this question for you specifically. She says, considering you are a small business owner, what are you doing to help our state's business owners?
So that's been, for me, started a business back in the early 80s, was CEO of it for 37 years. 3 of my 4 kids run it. It's a larger enterprise now. I'm actually in my wife's store 42 years in our downtown. Every business here was considered non-essential. They were grateful here about 2.5 weeks ago they could do curbside or takeout. What I've been trying to get across to anybody that wants to help through government, small businesses did not necessarily have the lines of credit. They did not have the cash reserves. Many people that run small businesses live out of them. I was disappointed in the first round of the PPP that we didn't have the rules and guidance that were going to help the smallest of the small. I think fix that in our 3.5. I'll be especially attentive to that when I mentioned any errors and omissions, anything we might do marginally. That benefit of having been a small business owner for my entire career before I became a senator has been valuable.
We want to get 1 or 2 more questions in quickly if we can. We've heard from some employees who are now only working part-time. They still can't make ends meet. Today, state officials said part-time employees would be able to get partial unemployment, but for some that might not be enough. Some have been having a hard time getting the federal unemployment portion. What benefits or solutions could you offer some of these part-time workers?
So part-time workers have had some difficulty. What we did was on that first round, phase 3, had some issues, and we got into a little scrap right before that was done about creating disincentives to come back to work. But for the ones that are having trouble accessing it, and for part-time employees, I think if you're running into any issue whatsoever that is trying to access something that will help you, make sure you get a hold of my staff, Todd's, or any one of the congressmen or women. You're not going to have any real solution for what ails certain parts of this economy until we get busy on reopening it. And we cannot, through government, comprehensively cover all the dislocations that have been created to rightly tamp down the disease. So my focus from here forward is going to be to keep all the discipline in place, but be very energetic about rolling this economy back into place to where you can get those part-time jobs back and make sure that business owners and employees adhere to the rules so that we can keep them open and not have to backslide and maybe shutter some business that didn't pay attention to the new rules.
Well, Senator, we certainly appreciate you joining us here and answering the questions for so many of our viewers.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
Governor Holcomb appears to be getting ready to reopen parts of our economy. The Senate could be going back to work as soon as next week. Earlier today, I spoke with Senator Todd Young and asked him, are we ready? And what's your message to those who worry it's too soon to reopen?
Commendably, here at the state level, our executives, the president and the governor have ensured that our public health officials have been out front in informing their public responses, their policy responses, and our objective is to ensure that everyone gets back to work and resume some semblance of normalcy as quickly as possible. And I think that here in the state of Indiana, we're sticking that landing. You see varying approaches across the country and even within states, in certain states, to the protocols that are in place in terms of going back to work and resuming some semblance of normalcy.
As you get set to return to D.C., can lawmakers safely do their jobs in the middle of this crisis? And what measures will you be pushing when you do return to help Hoosiers get through all of this? Will we need to see another round of relief for small businesses?
Well, I would never certainly knowingly put my staff at risk, and that's why we're operating with a skeleton crew. Make no mistake, every single member of the Young Senate team is working 7 days a week. They're working hard, responding to calls and emails, but people are not in our office. Instead, they're working from home. As I'm speaking to you now from my kitchen table, they're working the phones, and we will be operating to the extent we are having a couple of individuals, my chief of staff, maybe the head of my policy team. We're going to be social distancing from a great direction in my D.C. office. So I know that other offices are adopting similar practices. And as it comes to interaction between individual senators, I know that when we have our lunches and discuss policies, we'll be separated from one another. And my expectation is when we go onto the Senate floor and vote for nominees of the president who are essential to responding to this coronavirus situation in a bold fashion, that our votes are cast in a sequential fashion or in some fashion that doesn't lend itself to human transmission of COVID should somebody unknowingly be symptomatic.
We saw a number of House lawmakers wearing masks recently. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said last week he favors allowing states struggling with pension crisis to declare bankruptcy instead of giving them a federal bailout. He's faced some backlash because of those remarks. Do you think we should allow states to go bankrupt, or could that lead to other problems?
You know, I think that he was trying to make a serious policy point about not using the current situation as an excuse to bail a state out for decisions that were made ill-advised decisions prior to the pandemic. An example would be our neighbor, the state of Illinois, which really for decades has been dealing in false promises to their citizens, telling their hardworking public safety employees and others that their pensions were fully funded when in fact they weren't. And so it shouldn't be the responsibility of the people of Indiana, for example, to pay for those false promises. Hoosiers had good enough sense to elect people that balanced our budget, developed a rainy day fund for the rainiest of days. And so I think that was the majority leader's point of emphasis. We do need to come up with some kind of mechanism for these states, short of a federal bailout, to be able to make these employees whole. And so that's a serious conversation we're going to have moving forward.
We want to bring you some questions from our viewers as part of this town hall format tonight, this virtual town hall. First on the topic of preparedness, Ann Poynter from Westfield asks, what have we learned over the past few months and what changes should be made to be better prepared in the future as a household, community, state, and as a country?
It's a great question, and we've learned that we need to make ourselves more resilient as it relates to our ability to draw on stockpiles of essential personal protective equipment, test kits, and other areas. So that means we don't have to wait until something like this hits, but instead we will have enough supplies really to get us up and running in short order. This has been a challenge for decades. In fairness, and so this is why I really commend our governors and the private sector for manufacturing many of these things that we didn't have on hand. We also have to be less reliant on countries who don't share our values, China in particular. We cannot be in the future, in the next pandemic situation, reliant on a communist dictatorship for our essential supply. So we're going to be rethinking the supply chains and identifying those items that are essential to keep the American people safe and secure in similar circumstances.
One more question on preparedness. Susan Edmondson from TERRE HAUTE asks, can you respond to concerns about a possible pandemic being included in the president's daily intel briefings earlier this year and whether they were ignored? She asks, should Congress look into that question?
I don't have any visibility into that. I think that because those reports are highly classified, that's a matter that our Intelligence Committee will likely be looking into if they haven't already been doing so.
You mentioned the supply chain. A lot of concern right now about the food supply and about the safety of meat packing plants with hundreds of cases in Cass County. So Ann CRUMP of Indianapolis asks, for meat packing plants that are closing because of COVID outbreaks in their plants, why is the government only offering suggested safety measures, she asks, instead of mandatory safety measures for those plants to stay open?
Well, I think the president has been very careful to respect the prerogatives of the states. So Centers for Disease Control and the Department of Labor have very quickly and I think conscientiously promulgated rules to keep our workers safe in those types of settings, and then leaving it up to states and localities to deal with things. When there is something that reaches a level of national importance in the judgment of the president, that is a national emergency sort of situation, like a lack of food or protein, that's when the president has the ability to invoke the Defense Production Act, which is what he did in this case.
All right, got a couple more questions for you that we'll see later on tonight. Senator Todd Young, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Over the last few days, we've received hundreds of your questions from you, the viewers. And next, we are taking those questions straight to your House representatives.
We're going to talk about financial assistance for minority and women-owned businesses. Plus, could we have been better prepared for a crisis like this one?
And before we do take you to break, we want to share some positive news, too. Firefighters out in Avon went out of their way to build this deck here for a family and their terminally ill son. All they wanted was to have a graduation party for their 18-year-old son, Chase. But coronavirus, well, it had other plans. So the firefighters tell us they were happy to make their day just a little bit brighter.
Planting season is right around the corner, and we want to make sure you are ready. Scheid Diesel has been helping our local farmers for over 30 years, and Scheid is a name you trust. Start using less fuel and get up to 25% more torque and power with the Steinbauer Performance Module. Call or visit during normal business hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, to continue our support of our trucking and agriculture industries. We are stronger together. Scheid Diesel Service Company, anything diesel.
I don't want to embarrass myself anymore. Can we just go home?
There's never been a better time for Millionaire because it's on a whole new night. Tonight, we have so many more big celebrities in the hot seat.
Oh, yay! You are just 10 questions away now from the $1 million.
Will they have the smarts to go all the way?
Final answer C, Jimmy.
Oh, Anthony.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at an all-new time. Tonight, 8/7 Central on ABC.
Experience live video visits from the comfort of your own home with Good Samaritan. If you're experiencing fever, cough, and shortness of breath, My Health Live is an option to receive care from home. Schedule your My Health Live virtual visit today to find out what your next steps are. Good Samaritan, bringing you treatment from home.
We salute this hometown hero.
Some have compared the war on coronavirus to World War II. It's interesting to see how the greatest generation dealt with the challenges of the war on the home front. They did so much for our nation and for the world. They are true hometown heroes.
This hometown hero is proudly supported by the operating engineers of Local 841. To nominate a hometown hero, log on to mywabashvalley.com.
Welcome back to our special In Focus program, a coronavirus town hall broadcasting live to nearly 5 million Hoosier households in 71 countries or counties right now. We are joined tonight by our Indiana congressional delegation, including Democratic Representative Andre Carson from the 7th District and Republican Representative Susan Brooks from the 5th District. Thank you both for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
A few questions I want to get to right now. You know, we're watching event after event being canceled in Indy right now. Visit Indy reporting more than 80 conventions in Indiana have been called off. That's hundreds of millions of dollars, of course, in lost revenue. Should Congress do more to offset those losses? If so, what approach will you take? Representative Brooks, I'll start with you on that one.
Well, thank you for the question. Obviously, that is the heart of Indianapolis. We do an amazing job at hosting really large events. I think, though, that until we get a bit further down the road with respect to whether it is the therapeutics, I don't want to say all the way until we have a vaccine, we're going to have to be incredibly careful how we open up large events. And if we can open up large events, so many large events around the globe have been canceled or postponed. And I do think this is a significant economic driver for central Indiana. And I certainly know that the teams and the entities that oversee the facilities are very engaged in this. They employ a lot of people. We need to make sure that those people who work in those facilities, who get ready for all of those events, can be taken care of. And so I do think this is not just an Indianapolis problem. There are big communities all across the country that have this exact issue, and I think we will be looking at issues like that in the next package.
A lot to consider there indeed. Representative Carson, same question for you. Should Congress do more to offset those losses?
Well, we're working to do that right now. The Democratic caucus and leadership, we're negotiating with the Republicans and their leadership as well, in looking at CARES Point 2 or C5, however you want to dub it. But Congresswoman Brooks is right, my dear friend and colleague, about vaccinations and, of course, social distancing. But what we intend on doing with CARES 2.0 is looking at directing funding towards cities and states who have become cash-strapped as a result of this pandemic. And so I would like to see a clean bill, no attachments or no distractions, a clean bill that deals directly with cities and states. Something else that involves that would be broadband access, making sure we talk about vote by mail, and also making sure that businesses are supported in the process. So we need cities to address their lost revenue, of course, and we're pushing hard to do this in the bill by providing funding to these municipalities and states.
This one is a hot topic today. Simon Malls was planning to reopen locations in Indiana on Saturday, but today Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett said malls cannot reopen in Marion County. We are still waiting to hear from other counties and, of course, the governor tomorrow. Robyn writes this: I work at the Fashion Mall. I've talked with several fellow employees at other stores, and we are all scared to go back to work. So, Congressman Carson, to you, what is your message to all concerned workers who feel it may be too soon?
I think that that's a balancing act that many of us are struggling with. Employers are struggling with it. Employees are struggling with it. There's fear, but there's also a need to get back and bring back money for one's families, but also, you know, the Simon family. They've been great Hoosiers. They're great community stakeholders. They're friends, and I appreciate what they're doing. So we're going to have to balance listening to employees' concerns while at the same time meeting the needs of our families who need income to come in to be stable. So we're seeing a transition of sorts, which is why it's so important that the CARES Act allowed funding to go to businesses. We saw disproportionality in terms of bigger businesses getting these funds, but that's why we extended the PPP, and we want to do more for those people who are anxious about losing revenue, but at the same time being safe from exposing themselves to this pandemic.
And Representative Brooks, your message to workers.
Well, I'm very proud that in the first round of CARES Act, we did come together in a bipartisan way, in a huge way for the country to provide relief through what's called the Paycheck Protection Program. It's hard to say. So Congressman Carson and I vote, it's the PPP. And we know that thousands and thousands upon Hoosier businesses, small businesses were provided relief. And not just, it's not the businesses, it's to bring back the paychecks for those employees, the employees of those businesses, to make sure those businesses can help pay their rent. It's not as if rent's not due, or to pay their mortgage payment, or to pay their utilities. So we, and many, much of it is forgivable by the federal government. And so I think the Treasury and SBA have worked incredibly hard and incredibly fast to try to make sure that those who are employed by businesses can get their paychecks. I think that balancing act, and I completely agree with Congressman Carson, is so difficult for our business community, because we need to make sure that the employees are safe and that they can feel as if procedures will be put in place, social distancing, maybe masks, maybe gloves. But we have to listen to our medical professionals like Dr. Kane in Marion County, who is advising Mayor Hogsett. And if she says we're not quite ready because the numbers are still far too high in Marion County, then we may have to wait. But I think that we do have to get back to work. We have to do it safely. And I know people are ready. And so we've just got to figure out that balance. And that's what government officials and business owners are doing each and every day.
I want to stay with that topic of relief. And, round 2 of the Paycheck Protection Program gave some additional help to small businesses, like you both mentioned. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and the Indy Chamber, they put out provisions to help minority and women-owned businesses. So did the Trump administration, setting aside specifically $60 billion for minority and rural businesses. Small businesses are asking now, how are you going to make sure they can get access to those available funds? And also, I want to ask both of you, how are you supporting our minority and rural businesses moving forward? Congressman Brooks, or I will start with you, Congresswoman Brooks.
Well, and I was really pleased to hear from the leader of the Indianapolis City Council, Vop Osili, reached out to me as we were going through this, trying to make sure that I was very familiar with the Indy Chamber of Commerce was doing, what the City Council was doing, and I commend them for doing that. So we have what are called community development finance institutions that help make sure there are funds of money that go, whether it's in opportunity zones or other areas, to ensure that our minority and women-owned businesses and other businesses have specific funding. And I was pleased to see that in CARES, we made that happen. Not just in Indianapolis, which I think has been a leader in promoting this, thanks to the Indy Chamber, Mike Huber, and all the others that came together, but also around the state. I think it's very important. We want to make sure those businesses survive when this is over, and we're here to provide that relief now to get them through this horrible time.
All right. And Congressman Carson, to you.
No, I agree with Congresswoman Brooks. I mean, Council President Vop Osili has been a great leader, as well as Mayor Hogsett and Governor Holcomb. In the CARES Act, over $60 billion went toward women and minority-owned businesses. We know that too many women and minority-owned businesses are unbanked or underbanked. And so what we have to do is incent banking institutions and lending institutions to provide opportunities for these establishments to thrive. And these establishments, these are folks who are filling out W-9s every year. They may have an employee or two, or they may have 5 or 10 employees. But what has to happen is that we have to make sure that the underbanked and the non-banked women and minority-owned businesses have access to those PPP dollars, and large lenders cannot exclude them from this process.
All right, I'm going to get to this last question here. I have about 20 seconds for each of you to answer this. HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson tweeted this week, the first round of coronavirus relief funds have now gone out to Indiana. That is $60 million to support local communities and nonprofits, our homeless citizens, and people living with compromised immune systems like HIV/AIDS. Is this enough? And if not, what are you going to be doing to work with HUD to get more support for Indiana? Representative Carson.
It's never enough. It's never enough, especially when you're talking about our homeless population, especially when you're talking about people who have underlying conditions, who have addictions, who are carriers of HIV/AIDS and other illnesses and diseases. It's never enough funding. What has to happen is that Congress has to make sure HUD has the resources it needs, but also beyond that, we have to make sure that the HUD secretary is being held accountable. If you have leadership of these agencies who view these people as being less than and aren't providing the money that we vote for, taxpayer dollars, to the places it needs to go, then you won't see the results manifest themselves. So we have to hold them accountable as our constituents hold us accountable.
All right. And quickly, Congresswoman Brooks.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think Secretary Carson has tremendous respect for the people that are served through the HUD programs. And he has tremendous compassion for all of the programs in HUD. It's probably right. There's probably not enough funding, but that's because the needs around the country are so great. Homelessness has gone up dramatically, particularly in large urban areas. And we're very concerned about the issues with respect to COVID-19 in the homeless population specifically. I have talked with a number of managers of housing authorities throughout the state and throughout the district. Kim Townsend in Madison County does a great job of keeping me plugged in, and we know their needs are great in our housing community, and we need to make sure that we are providing those housing authorities with as much support as we can during this very difficult time. Yes. As they're trying to implement social distancing, as they're trying to make sure that their citizens are safe. All so, right. But you know, look forward to being a supporter of HUD and what they're trying to do. Absolutely. We know this is a conversation that will continue indeed. Thank you both so much. Representatives Carson and Brooks will be back with us a little bit later this hour as we do continue our conversation with them. Dan and Birchell, over to you.
All right. Thank you both. This week, a coronavirus outbreak at a meat processing plant jumpstarts a conversation about whether we're doing enough to protect our food distribution chain.
We'll tackle this topic after the break. Plus, what role will the federal government play in supplying personal protective equipment for businesses? Stay with us.
I'm Molly, and I'm a farmer.
Leo, sit. Oh, my good boy.
Well, I do know a thing or two about early mornings. My morning routine is a little different.
Okay, let's go, bud.
I'm Molly, and I'm a farmer.
Dentistry Just for Kids and TK Orthodontics is the premier destination for pediatric dentistry and orthodontic treatment in the Wabash Valley. We offer pediatric dental care for patients ages 1 and older, as well as orthodontic treatment for adults and children. We have multiple specialists all under one roof and a staff that's dedicated to providing quality dental care and exceptional service to all of our patients. Call us today to schedule your family's first appointment. Smiles start here at Dentistry Just for Kids and TK Orthodontics.
During this time can feel chaotic and out of our control.
And just like many of you, we are also keeping our social distance during this unprecedented time by working remotely.
In a situation like this, I think it's important to keep things as normal as possible.
Just take in nature for a while, take in some deep breaths.
Shout out on your favorite meal, maybe chill out with a movie or favorite album.
We're going to get through the situation we're in, but we just have to make sure that we're all doing our part.
And of course, following the advice, wash those hands, social distancing.
I hope that you all are keeping safe. I hope that you all are enjoying this time.
Don't forget to check on your family and friends.
I'm not going to lie, there are going to be some troubling days ahead.
I know for a lot of people, times are really tough. Just remember, you're strong. At the end of the day, I know it's hard. We'll get through this.
Fight on, America. Keep doing what we're doing.
We can't wait to see you guys back out in the community once all of this is past.
We're local, strong, and stand with our community.
Welcome back to our coronavirus town hall. Thank you for staying with us. Now, we are joined tonight by Indiana's congressional delegation. You see them there. And we continue our conversation right now with representatives from northern Indiana, Congresswoman Jackie Walorski and Congressman Jim Banks and Jim Baird. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We appreciate you being part of this conversation. You know, we want to start out first in Cass County, which ranks third for the most COVID cases in our state. Tuesday, local officials declared an emergency after the Tyson Foods processing plant in Logansport shut down. Now, hundreds of employees tested positive for COVID-19, and at one point, the local health department said they made up 75% of the county's cases. So, Congressman Baird, how responsible is Tyson Foods for this spread in your community, and what should happen next?
Well, interestingly enough, I've been working with that community, and you should be very proud of the county commissioners, the county health department, and I had the opportunity to stop by after a greeting with the vice president at the plant and listen to the plans they have for trying to partially open the plant. So they're very concerned about the health of their employees. The other side of the coin is, from an agricultural standpoint, the livestock producers that have those 300-pound hogs that are ready to go to slaughter or go to harvest need to have that access to that plant. So I am very pleased to see that the county commissioners there in Cass County have designed a plan to be able to partially reopen the plant, and their local health department. And I've sat in that meeting with that group as they formulated those plans. And I think the local community should be reassured about the efforts they're making to make it a safe environment. And this is not only true across in Cass County, but the hog slaughter and our swine producers across the nation are facing a similar kind of problem. So the quicker we can get through it and get through this process, the better.
And Congressman, I know you just spoke specifically to what your county is doing, but to hold your feet to the fire there, so does Tyson hold any responsibility, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I was just at that meeting I was at was in Cass County, and that was with the local commissioners and the local health department and Tyson representatives, and they were working well together to protect the employees.
And let's stick on this topic just a bit longer here. So we know experts warn that these plants, they may need to stay open to avoid a meat supply shortage. But our viewer Ann wants to know, why is the federal government only offering suggested safety measures instead of mandatory safety measures for these meat processing plants? Congresswoman, let's start with you on this one.
Well, it's a great question. And first of all, thanks. It's great to be with all of you today. Thanks for doing this. It's great to be with my colleagues. These are the types of questions that I hope we can get back to Washington and solve quickly when we get Congress back to work. And that's why conversations like this are important. It's important, though, that, as Congressman Baird said, that we rely on the leadership at the local level. We need our local health officials, our state health officials, and our federal health officials to work together to define what the new normal and the new social norms, the new precautions that we need to take as a society, as workers working in facilities all over the state of Indiana and all over the country need to take. That's what I'm looking for from our local health officials, who are the experts on the ground, to educate us on what those new social norms need to be so that we can get Indiana back to work. And that's what I'm focused on today, is being an advocate for exactly that. It's time to get Indiana back to work, but we need to do it with new precautions, new social norms, and we need our local health officials to work with the state and federal level to tell us what those will be.
And Congressman Banks, since we heard from you first, let's now see if we could hear from Congresswoman Walorski.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I can't say enough about what's happening at the local level and the state level. You know, I've had such a great opportunity to work and to advocate in my district for innumerable amounts of things with our task forces from the time I stepped back at home and flew back from D.C. here. You know, we've been at this thing together, whether it's advocating for PPE or it's looking to solve problems. You know, I have pork producers down there in that area, what you were just talking about with Tyson. And I can tell you that people in our states to be so proud of our local and state officials and how they've worked together. There has not been an issue that they've backed off from. Tough issues, we've all gotten into the mix on this to make sure that we are helping with that balance of making sure that we have safe places for people to work, and that we have, you know, that we're moving forward and we can see light at the end of the tunnel about actually getting back to work. So I can't say enough about our healthcare workers, who are our heroes, and inside of every single elected government, how everybody's been focused on one thing, and it's been, let's do this for our district, let's do this for our state. We're going to win an invisible war, and we're going to do it together with Hoosier common sense, and you can see it every single day in this state.
Let's move now to the Vice President's visit that Congressman Baird mentioned a bit earlier. He was here in Kokomo visiting the GM plant. Now, the Indiana DNC says, despite the VP's remarks, quote, the Trump administration's chaotic, erratic response has failed us at every level. So starting first in the 4th District here, Congressman, has the Trump administration met the needs of Hoosiers and how?
Yes. And I think it's inspiring to see that companies like GM and Logan Sport and these other companies that have come forward. And it's amazing to me, and it's the American spirit, the same kind of spirit we saw back in World War II, the same kind of spirit that I see in my fellow veterans, that spirit to meet the challenge and end up to win. And just as Representative Wazorski mentioned, we can win this pandemic.
Congresswoman, your thoughts on this? Has the Trump administration done enough?
Absolutely. You know what? When there was a need and we called out, we had resources. And it's not to say that we're not fighting like everybody else. We are. But I can tell you there's a benefit to be able to pick up the phone and call the vice president, the former governor of the state of Indiana, and have results. And I'll tell you, you know what? I think I am so inspired. Like Jim just said, I was at a company today in my district in northern Indiana making face shields. This is a manufacturing company that put themselves on hold, making auto parts to make face shields, and now they're making masks, which will be producing 80,000 a day. So when you talk about Hoosiers with ingenuity and crisis, breeding intervention, and those kinds of things, that's what we're seeing in our district and our state. And I'll tell you what, we've risen to the crisis. The president has absolutely risen to the crisis, and we are going to defeat this and celebrate at some point here on the other side. We're going to celebrate victory in this country like we haven't celebrated probably in my lifetime, because we did this together. We did not have politics enter the mix of this, and we can be so proud of our fellow Hoosiers. They're the ones that hunkered down, stayed home, didn't go anywhere. They're the ones that lowered the curve, so we can all be proud of the victory that we're going to see in the state of Indiana.
All right, I got a few seconds here left. I want to make sure that Congressman Banks gets to answer too. Do you agree with your colleagues up north?
Absolutely. President Trump has shown extraordinary leadership through all of this. He's criticized for literally everything that he does. He was criticized from the very beginning when he instituted the travel ban. He's criticized every day. But in spite of that, Hoosiers know that President Donald Trump has been a tremendous leader through some of the darkest times in American history, and I'm proud to stand with President Trump as we continue to get our efforts underway to get America back to work.
All right, well, we thank all of the representatives here for joining us. They'll be back in just a few minutes for a lightning round of questions, so stay tuned for that.
All right, Beershell, thank you so much. We do have more of your questions for our congressional representatives. That is still to come. Dan.
Will Americans get a second stimulus check? And should all essential workers get hazard pay? We'll tackle those issues with some of our reps from southern Indiana after the break.
You've been dreaming about a forever building. It's time to wake up and get one. Choose from one of our most popular models. Get the 24x30 Hobby Farmer for only $142 a month. Enjoy pure marital bliss with the 30x40 Honeydew, now only $213 a month. Need a man cave? How about a mansion cave? This 40x60 man of a building can be yours for only $426 a month. Customizable building packages are also available. Call out the 30th and get concrete floors for no additional charge. Stop dreaming and get your forever building today.
We honor lives. We capture the spirit of how people lived. And we carry on the traditions they began. With compassionate care and a commitment to quality and craftsmanship, we're here to help you create a tribute that will last an eternity. Adams Memorials, we carve life's memories into stone.
Planting season is right around the corner, and we want to make sure you are ready. Scheid Diesel has been helping our local farmers for over 30 years, and Scheid is a name you trust. Start using less fuel and get up to 25% more torque and power with the Steinbauer Performance Module. Call or visit during normal business hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 to continue our support of our trucking and agriculture industries. We are stronger together. Scheid Diesel Service Company, anything diesel.
I don't know you called 811.
Actually, this time I went to 811now.com and let them know that we were ready to plant a tree.
Great. So we can get that done, and I can still make my tea time.
You mean we can make our tea time, right?
Avoid hitting costly utility lines. Contact 811 before you dig, no matter how big or small your project, and we'll come out in just 2 working days to mark utility lines.
You might need to contact 811 to dig that out.
This message is sponsored by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission and this.
Welcome back to In Focus, a coronavirus town hall. We're broadcasting live tonight in 71 Indiana counties, bringing your questions directly to your representatives in Washington, D.C. And joining the conversation right now are Congressman Larry Bucshon, Trey Hollingsworth, and Greg Pence, who mainly represent different parts of southern Indiana and some parts of western and eastern Indiana as well. And let's get started with this question from Harry in Muncie, which is part of Representative Pence's district. He asks, being in a pandemic for about 6 weeks now, when is Congress going to give another stimulus check to help everyone? Because the first one, while nice, just, quote, put a Band-Aid on things, in Harry's words. Congressman Pence, can Hoosiers count on a second stimulus check in the future?
Well, thanks, Harry. Thanks, Dan, for having me here. You know, I would tell Harry one of the things he can do is get on my website, pence.house.gov, and kind of keep up with where the bills are, where the CARES Act, where the PPP, the PPE, what's going on out there. I had hoped that we would go back to Washington, D.C. and have a debate and discuss this very topic, but for some reason, the Democrats don't want us to go back. Now, we've got doctors, we have nurses, we have grocery store, C-store workers. Everyone's out there working, but I guess the House of Representatives doesn't have to go back and work and figure these things out.
The House physician this week citing some health concerns on that question. Jeffrey in Evansville has a question as well. He believes essential workers should get hazard pay, saying, quote, "We are daily putting our lives at risk with no protections." Congressman Bucshon, how do you respond to his concerns, and do you support hazard pay for all essential workers?
Well, first of all, I think many of your viewers know I was a healthcare provider before I was a physician and surgeon, and I'd like to thank all the healthcare providers out there who are doing what you said, risking their lives every day to take care of our fellow citizens. They should be applauded. I do think that we should have that debate. I think that citizens that are in the healthcare field, that are working every day, taking care of people, putting themselves at risk. I know one person in my district who has rented an apartment and doesn't go home because he's an ER physician and is afraid to spread coronavirus to his children and his family. So, yeah, I think this should be a consideration, and I think we need to get back to Washington, D.C. and have that debate on behalf of the people that we represent.
A debate you're willing to have, you say. Okay, Congressman Hollingsworth, this question is from one of your constituents who also happens to share your first name. Trey from Whiteland says the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program has been, in his words, a catastrophic failure. He says there's no one available to talk, and the website continues to crash. Do you agree with his assessment, and how are you helping those who are in desperate need of this kind of assistance?
I'm so glad Trey asked, because I do agree with his assessment. This is what I hear from Hoosiers all the way across the district that continue to talk about websites crashing, the unavailability of Hoosiers to be able to get somebody on the phone, and the challenges in getting the payments and funds that the federal government has already put in place. There needs to be accountability here, because Hoosiers are counting on those funds to make ends meet week to week, not in weeks, not in months, but every single week. And we have got to do a better job here in the state of getting those funds out to those individuals who have lost their job.
Congressman Pence, this question comes from a viewer in Shelbyville named Mike, who says he called your congressional office about food shortages. He says farmers can't sell their produce and livestock and are in some cases destroying it to cut their losses. What's your strategy to deal with this possible food production and distribution crisis?
Yeah, Mike, thanks for the question. Thanks, Dan. I actually sent a letter to Sunny Purdue today asking them to get on top of this, not just for livestock, but for tomatoes, other crops, fruit and vegetable crops. This is a big deal. As the economy has contracted, as people have stayed home, as the supply chain has been disrupted, going from people eating out to different portions back to the grocery store, the system doesn't have the capacity to make this conversion as quickly as It needs to. We're working. We're bringing all the information from farmers in our district, and we're sharing that with the administration.
Another question from our viewer here who works at Tropicana Casino in Evansville and is wondering what the timeline might be to reopen casinos and what precautions would be recommended when the time comes. I know a lot of you have casinos in your district. Congressman Bucshon, how concerned are you about the impact this will have on our state's casino industry?
Well, it's going to have a dramatic impact, as it already has, based on what we've seen with the needs for social distancing and to protect our fellow citizens. The administration in D.C. released a 3-step guidelines to get people back to work and get people back in their jobs, and that would include at casinos. I also think that Governor Holcomb and his administration has done a good job at the state level. And I'm going to rely on the medical data on whether it's safe or not to reopen these type of facilities. And that has to come from Dr. Box at the state level, Dr. Fauci and Birx at the national level, and then with the guidelines put in place at the national level through the governor's office. So there's no good answer to the question. It's a very difficult problem to solve. But I'm hopeful that we can soon get these type of places open back up. But the medical reality is right now, I don't think we're quite there.
On this broader topic of reopening, Congressman Hollingsworth, you faced some controversy recently over your remarks on the economic concerns versus the health concerns. We talked about that recently on In Focus, but we're also talking about these protests. There's another protest scheduled tomorrow at the State House with protesters who want the economy opened up, and a pretty intense protest today in Michigan as well. I want to ask you, do you agree with Governor Holcomb when he says these protests, because people are closely gathered and some not in masks, that these protests aren't helping the situation when it comes to social distancing and the guidelines that are in place?
I want every Hoosier to be safe. I want everybody that is out protesting to ensure that they are socially distant, to ensure that they're wearing masks. But ultimately, the reason they're protesting is because of the unprecedented restriction on their freedom, the unprecedented restriction on their ability to earn income for their families, the unprecedented restriction on their religious freedoms. And Hoosiers all the way across the district, all the way across the state are starting to say, I want to get back to work. I want to educate my kids. I want to go back to church. I can do those things safely. I will find a way to do those things safely, but they expect to get back to their way of life as quickly as possible, provided that we take all the safety precautions along the way. I think it is hugely important that we listen to Americans who are saying that they want to find a way forward, no matter how difficult the circumstances, no matter how many precautions we take, find a way forward to create their way of life again.
That reopening debate continues, especially in districts like yours that all share a border with a neighboring state. Governor Holcomb has entered into a regional grouping of Midwestern governors to better coordinate that response. How important is it specifically for these regions and counties along the border to have that kind of coordination with neighboring states? Congressman Pence, quickly, I'll leave this one to you.
Yeah, my district is adjacent to Cincinnati. You know, we don't want to have completely different plans rolling out where one group may go across the border and overwhelm the cities adjacent to. And I think it's a good idea. And by the way, the governor's done a great job. I think talking to the other states, bringing everybody together to discuss the best way to approach this. I'm really proud of him, as I am very, very proud of my brother, the job he's done on the task force.
All right, Congressman Pence, Congressman Bucshon, Congressman Hollingsworth, thank you all for being here. Much more to come with you and our other representatives coming up. Guys.
Thank you so much. Our conversation with U.S. lawmakers continues right after this break.
Up next, we are putting our representatives in Congress through a lightning round to get their takes on protests, wearing masks in public, and reopening schools.
For 25 years, Denver Mattress has been your local source for factory direct mattresses, improving the sleeping lives of millions of Americans one night at a time. And shopping online has never been easier. At denvermattress.com, browse top brands like Tempur-Pedic, Sealy, Purple. Check out the Summit Queen, only $189.99. Or unpack a better night's sleep with our Bed-in-a-Box lineup and score free local delivery or curbside pickup with any mattress purchase. Plus 5 years, no interest. denvermattress.com, the easiest way to get the right mattress.
Let's keep each other safe. While our shop is closed to the public, we're taking our mission to spread joy and laughter online and on social media. You can still see us daily on Facebook, Instagram, and our new shoppable website, willowgift.com. We'll be posting new spring clothes and gift items each day that I'm happy to ship to you. Call the shop or place your orders online. When we get the all clear to open, we'll all be here with beaming smiles to welcome you. Until then, remember my motto, I'm a willow, I can bend without breaking.
It could be anyone. The star student, the all-state athlete. I never thought it could happen to me, that I could lose everything. I found help, I found hope, I found recovery. I regained something lost.
We lived out in Sealyville for a couple years in a smaller house, and then once we had our son Keegan, we decided that it was time we needed more space. It was a smaller home, so that's what kind of got the ball rolling, kind of went over our options, and for what you get through Premier, it's really the best that they offer.
We had looked at a couple different online places, but I think, you know, it really helped going to Premier and being able to see all the models and walk through them.
It's here, it looks great, and you can see the progress.
All right, welcome back to our coronavirus town hall as we broadcast live across Indiana tonight. We continue our conversation now with Indiana's congressional representatives.
Yeah, it is time for our lightning round. We're going to speed things up a little bit here with our representatives. We're going to ask you to answer these questions with a show of hands.
So raise your hand here if you think that we are ready for the governor to reopen the state's economy tomorrow, at least parts of it.
A number of you think so. Congressman Carson, not so sure yet.
Well, you know, I think Governor Holcomb is a good man. I actually like him. We have a great relationship. He's a Pike graduate. I think I want to hear from the Dr. Kanes first in the world and the health officials. That's something we're trying to work through, even as an intelligence committee, of collaborating with health officials before we make these decisions. I know he has a great array of advisors with him, but I'd like to get more public assurance and reassurance from health professionals.
All right, so you think we still need to wait. Our next question, how many of you think we need to make that decision maybe region by region? Show of hands.
Just about, yeah, just about everyone.
The same?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next question up too is, what about these masks? Should people be required to be wearing them in public? Raise your hands if you think they should.
You're thinking about it, Congresswoman Brooks. Congressman Carson thinks
Thought about it too, though.
You know, I think that the medical professionals have been all over the place on this. And so I would love for the medical professionals to tell us, certainly if you might be sick or have been sick, you ought to be wearing it. But I think there's no question as if you are not sick at all and have no symptoms, even though this disease has asymptomatic for a couple of weeks. We've been told there aren't enough and that it might not help that much. But I believe in gloves.
We've got to leave it there for now. Thank you so much.
And make sure you do stick around with us. We have a few more questions for our lawmakers. You can see more with all of us on Fox59.com and CBS4Indy.com here in Indianapolis and across the state on your local station's website.
Thanks again to all our representatives for taking part and to you, our viewers, for sending in so many great questions. We appreciate it. We hope you're doing well.
We'll see you online. Have a great night.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks.